Episode 505 of the TV Dudes, recorded September 20th, 2024. Fight Night, the $1 Million Heist. This week, I'm back from my UK vacay and ready to chat about the crime that made Atlanta.
That's right, Les is back in the South, and we're talking about Peacock's new adaptation of the iHeartRadio podcast, Fight Night, starring Kevin Hart and Samuel L. motherfucking Jackson.
Technically, Texas isn't the South. I mean, okay, sure, yes, we definitely joined the Confederacy, but Georgia is the South.
Wait, so if Texas isn't South, what's Texas?
Texas is Texas.
Oh, wow. You know what? No further explanation needed.
Yeah.
I get it.
But also, I'm Les.
And I'm Nick.
And we're the TV Dudes.
No tuning question this week since we're both kind of be recovering from COVID here.
You're having COVID.
Like, you brought back not only...
Man, you said you wanted a souvenir. It's not...
I meant scotch.
I mean, you can get COVID here. You can get scotch here. You can get COVID here, but not this COVID.
But not foreign COVID.
Right.
Well, you got duty-free COVID.
I get duty-free COVID.
From the airport.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you're there.
Yeah, I don't know what the VAT is on that, but... Anyway. The joys of close-quarter travel in the 21st century, folks. I had a great trip, got sick on the way home, and a little off my game.
Much like our criminals this week.
Yes.
In this week's show.
Though, I did watch some TV while on vacation.
The Diaries of the Television Dudes. Brought to you by only the finest cocaine wine.
I wanted to ask you this because obviously it's you're in Scotland. You don't want to spend your vacations watching TV.
No, but I absolutely had to turn on. My mom wanted to as well.
But I know you as well. As a fellow TV dude, I would be insanely curious what's on TV.
Watching my mom get up and she's sitting there flipping through channels going, which one is their news? I'm like, BBC One, Mom, pretty sure is going to have their news. And she's like, well, what is this? Because everything in England and Scotland, the whole UK has cutesy names. Like, it's not to go, it's takeaway. Like, everything's just a little, this is part of the considerate construction scheme.
Sure.
Like, nope, that's just a building you're putting up across the street, man. No, it's a considerate construction scheme. Like, everything in the UK is just ridiculously named. And all the towns are stuff like Bumswaddle and Cockburn and just weirdness.
Sure. Where democracy truly did work of let's decide what to name this.
Oh my God, it is a whole country of Bodie McBoatface.
Bodie McBoatface. I was just gonna say,
dude,
Bodie McBoatface.
I didn't put it together, but yes, this is the land of Bodie McBoatface.
Well, I mean, isn't that the country?
You mean Admiral Bodie McBoatface? He's on top of that giant monument in
Isn't that the country that decided that their national animal is a unicorn?
That's Scotland. Yes. Their national animal is a unicorn.
That seems like a fuck you.
I feel like they knew it was a fake animal then. It's not like you're like, well, the country's so old that they thought they were real. No, they knew what they were doing. They looked at England and were like, no, we're more magic.
Fuck it,
what do you got, a lion, a rose? What the fuck are you?
I feel like all other countries are stupid. Like, oh wait, are dragons on the table?
We could have picked from
bald egos. Fuck that.
Like, it's like finding out that your high school didn't have to pick from Wildcats or whatever. Like, you could have gone nuts with it. Like, we could have been narwhals this whole time.
Like in Wisconsin, rather than a badger, it was just the Bay Road Beast, like our traditional werewolf legend.
You could have been like the Jersey Devil.
Yeah, the Jersey Devil the whole time. Like, that seems like, I don't know. It either seems unfair or incredibly fair, and we should all do it.
Absolutely. I feel like the Scots were just fucking brilliant on this count. But yeah, we definitely flipped on the TV, and one of the things that I knew from previous times in the UK is that they always seem like they definitely love some American TV. They got a couple of channels that are just like streaming channels that are basic cable kind of stuff that are just dedicated to it. I think one's called 5 USA that tells you what they show. But they're always a couple years off, so they were advertising new episodes of The Rookie from like season 5, I think.
Sure.
And they're always a couple years off, and it's always weird what they've made some deal for. It's like your mom went to the store and you were like, grab an American show, and she just comes back with like not a show you'd ever want to watch, but she's got a lot of it. Because I don't know why. Big Bang Theory. Hand to God was on 24 hours a day somewhere. The entire 13, 14 days I was there.
Sure.
Every day. If it wasn't, if not Big Bang Theory, an episode of Young Sheldon, perhaps.
Right,
So
right.
basically Big Bang Theory.
But
I
a
think
drama
one time
year.
I saw some Everybody Loves Raymond.
Okay.
But otherwise, just a ridiculous amount of Sheldon, man.
Yeah.
And then the drama version was a block of Law & Order, Law & Order SVU, Criminal Minds, and Blue Bloods. Oh, and NCIS.
right.
They just made a deal for like CBS procedural.
Procedurals.
And you
That
can
makes
tell
sense.
that they just gone to the table and were like, so we would like some sitcom, and a procedural. We got a procedural variety pack of like the little bags.
Man, honestly, I can see that translating because even when I watch British procedurals, like
Mhm.
crime stuff, even though they have a completely different set of laws there and different procedures and stuff like that, and just, cops not having guns,
Right.
the structure is so familiar that I'm like, I'm not lost at all.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it works the other way around.
I think so. And I did see some arguments about whether or not British television edits like
Sure.
some shows it seemed like they didn't care, and then some shows people were like, no, you guys definitely took out all the like the fight is still in this episode, but we don't see the punches connect, or we don't see the bullets hit the victim or
Mhm.
something. Just tiny things. And I don't, but there were also just arguments as to like, okay, prove that's happening. You'd have to tape them or record them and put them next to each other.
Right.
Of course, there were all the traditional, like you said, like slow prestige British, gunless procedurals of like titles like A Teacher, or things like that. And we watched some of that. But when I first, I don't know, 2000 or so was the first time I ever went to the UK. There were a bunch of shows there that just we'd never seen here. Now there's Acorn and BritBox, and like you could see all these. So there really
Right.
wasn't Made in Bondi and like some of their Hollyoaks, like some of their trashier, like kind of soaped kind of 90210-ish kind of shit. That was more what I was like, what the fuck is that show?
Mhm.
And for some reason, The Italian Job was on a bunch. The remake movie.
Man, that was big in
Yeah.
TNT TBS days. I
The
remember
main
that.
thing I noticed was that a couple of their streaming channels, regardless of hotel we were in, just hiccuped all the fucking time.
Okay.
Audio and video, it made it insufferable. Like every once in a while you'd be like, well, I probably would have watched half an NCIS and dozed off, except that this is stuttering like a maniac, and fuck it, I guess we're gonna watch half an ep of Midsummer Murders or something more Britishy.
Sure.
But yeah, it was a trip. And my mom is of a generation that has to have the TV on while she's, like, the news on while she's doing her morning routine or whatever. And so every day there was some amount of just British news going on. Though I kind of wish the States did this. Their local news, when you have, or national, whatever, Today Show type thing, let's give you the headline rundown while you're getting your coffee, was text on the screen. Like, here's the headline while somebody talks about it a little bit.
Okay.
But you don't show that person. It's just,
Right.
so like I could walk by with the volume low and just glance up and read.
Okay.
And like,
That's interesting.
it was weird. I just,
Wonder why they do that.
I don't know. It was like, you realize it's a visual medium, right, guys?
Right. Like, I mean, I guess there's no law against it.
no,
like,
but it was weird. It was like having a radio on with a slideshow, like a PowerPoint presentation. Yeah, absolutely strange. And that was basically all I watched. I rewatched some season 1 of Tulsa King on the plane to prep for season 2. And then I watched the season 2 premiere of it once I got home. But I'm going to let a couple more of those pile up, and we'll probably discuss it in the diaries in a few weeks.
Sure.
How about you? What have you been watching when I was gone?
I decided to finally put myself through the Sopranos. This is like my third time trying to get through Sopranos. And this time I finally did it.
I didn't know if you'd never seen any Sopranos.
No, I
or-
started it a couple times. I never gotten past season 1. And man, I remember one of the first TV dudes I was on, we did that Many Scenes of Newark movie, and I gave the perspective of having not seen the show.
That's right. You watched that and I've still not seen, I don't think I've seen Many Saints
so
in
that
Newark.
Many States said, "Yo, you did."
Did I?
I think maybe, or maybe Kyle was on, but I remember talking with everyone that was on that, and basically you guys didn't like it, and then I was like, "Yeah, it especially didn't make sense to me. I don't know who any of these people are.
Right.
I don't know why I need to care about any of this."
And watching you, I mean, you still had a little bit of the show left to do when I got back of Sopranos, and watching you watch that was definitely an experience. I remember watching that week to week in a college dorm, and how fucking infuriating that show would be, because it just drops things and things don't come back, and it meanders, and there's dream episodes and
There's
all kinds of shit.
Several dream episodes, and I
had forgotten.
Really hate those.
And it's also the first show I ever bought a DVD or had like a DVD set of, because like we were talking earlier, it felt like you wanted to get to the plot again, so you'd want to watch several episodes in a row, because you weren't going to get plot every episode, really.
No.
You got to vibe, hang out with these guys, basically.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you'd mentioned that you would think streaming would
help
that as the quote unquote original binge show,
right?
But instead, it just reveals that these plots meander, and the show frequently acts like it did something, but it didn't really do it. That trick only works if I saw that episode 3 months ago and can't really remember it now.
Well,
you know?
I think I asked you, like, what is Sopranos about? And I really have a hard time. Everyone else, when I was looking this up online, everyone has the opinion nowadays. It seems that, well, Sopranos is good, but it's not as great as we remember it. And I'm going to push back on even the good part of it. I think it's utterly average with some really great direction and acting. But the writing is downright basic or nonsensical. Like, those metaphor dream episodes are basically pointless.
They're painful, man.
And
I hate a dream episode.
But as far as the show being about a mobster going to see a therapist, it's not actually about that.
No.
They run out of things to do immediately for Melfi.
You bringing that up really made me reconsider what Sopranos is about. And like, as much as we talk about Seinfeld's a show about nothing, this seems like a show about not moving forward.
About is it him trying to be a better criminal with his psychology? Is it him trying to be more moral with his psychological health?
Because you just finished the last episode.
Yeah.
And Tony's the same guy he is at the start.
Yeah, almost in defiance of traditional story
I would almost argue, watching just from kind of popping in and out as you were watching them, realizing that everybody else's stories get cut short, thrown away, whatever they need to do, utterly changed. Somebody's a hothead who wasn't, like that kind of shit. Johnny Sacks.
Johnny Sacks was the pragmatist, and all of a sudden he changes his comparative completely.
Everybody's got to do whatever they've got to do so that, like, to retriangulate so that Tony doesn't move.
Yeah, that Tony doesn't have to change.
Yeah. And that's weird and kind of infuriating as an audience member.
I remember, like, we all got mad at the Bear doing it for one season. Dude, and this bitch does it for
I'm
6.
Still so mad about Carmy not having anything to do for a season, but you're right, dude. Tony is locked in place.
And so I guess I just wish I knew. It's kind of like Game of Thrones. I don't know what the central theme is, because any central theme I can think up, an episode I remember will contradict that.
Right.
Is it like, is the point that the therapy is not working and that he refuses to change, which it seems mostly like it is. Like, he steadfastly is a miserable human being, but wants the world to change around him rather than him change anything about himself. Mm-hmm. But then the second to last episode, basically Melfi they bring up that, therapy can actually proven to help criminals be better criminals. And I was like, is that
what happened?
That's an interesting idea.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't do that. I think I also am mad that Tony and all of his crew, they're bad parents. I don't care if maybe he loves his kids, maybe he doesn't, but he's a really bad parent about it. He's a bad husband. Like, he's
straight up a terrible husband.
Like, honestly, even get rid of the infidelity. Let's say, like, we don't talk.
Right. Which is its own problem because of how they equate it to Carmela just having a fantasy.
Carmela thinking about Furio the show almost treats it like it is as bad as what he does. And because I don't know what the show's trying to say, I don't know that it's not trying to say that either.
Right.
Someone might go say the show's not trying to say that.
Well, that's what kept coming up. You'd finish an episode and be like, well, okay, what the fuck is the show about?
Because I'm also not sure. Is the show trying to equate those two or not? Because it's steadfastly refusing trying to say anything. But also, he's a bad gangster. He's stupid. Everyone in his crew are dumb.
Like they're genuinely pretty bad at this.
Like they're not. I just watched the last guy they faced down, the final boss of the season, and they fuck up that immediately by
how many
killing
bodies do they
Kenny
have to move simply because they bury them in bad places?
that they don't have control over.
While owning construction crap and sanitation and
They
other shit.
All their shit is about like millions of dollars in construction projects and shit, and
You don't got no concrete anywhere?
And so he has to like remove people in from the base. But don't worry, Tony will magically get out of it because someone else will cop to the murder he did, or the gun charge will go away, or despite him murdering a made guy, which is supposed to be a big deal, no one's gonna bring it up. The fact that there's no consequences to anything he does,
Right,
is weird.
Well, like it was absolutely insane rewatching parts of Tulsa King season 1, which shares directors with Sopranos.
Yeah,
and realizing that like, how the hell is this a more forward-moving, smarter gangster story? Like, I like Dwight as a gangster more.
well, Dwight is more of he's actually charismatic. The show tries to keep telling me Tony is
every single woman in the show wants to jump Tony's bones.
it just wants to fuck him, which is even without knowing he's a gangster.
Right.
You know,
Not because you know he's a bad guy, but just because he puts off that "I'll destroy your life" vibe.
I guess. He does attract some weird, crazy people, but and boy does he martyr himself anytime he doesn't fuck a random woman. Like, I'm so moral.
Hey, I could have, and I didn't, so that makes me basically
Well,
like
you're right. We also watched the season 1 of Tulsa King along with the season premiere, and Tulsa King Dwight is actually charismatic. Like, the show's not telling me Tony is a good leader or whatever. Dwight's a good leader and shows me he's a good leader. Like all these people that are basically he's extorting end up being on his team because they kind of like him. Like, even though that he's like Bodhi, even despite Bodhi kind of being shitty about it the whole entire way through, he still has the like, well, fuck the cops anyway. So I guess And they do the horse storyline better.
Oh shit, you're right.
Because
oh my god,
man, that's the thing with one of the seasons. I think it was season 3, whichever one has Joey Pants in it.
Yeah. I
And
think that's 3 or 4.
And talking about another character, like, man, these they show up to do nothing.
You kept reminding me people were even in this show. I'm like, fuck yeah, Steve Buscemi.
Buscemi might as well not be in it. Like, I thought his story, his civilian story, I thought that was going somewhere.
Right.
Interesting. But no.
It's the Sopranos.
But why would it ever anything else? And
I mean, the show itself cuts off mid.
They get into a conflict because he kills a hooker. You know, and Joey Pants is like, "What? We don't count women. Like, she's a hooker. She extra
she's
doesn't
like
count.
Double not count."
Would you say he should get a coupon, like a
it's like a doe tag,
like a doe tag? I get to kill an extra actual woman now.
Oh my god, I can't ever run for office or anything. A doe tag comment's gonna come back, but
I could edit it out if you don't want. I just thought it was funny.
No, that's exactly what Joey Pants is talking about.
Right? Like, no, but that's the sentiment of it, and he doesn't kill him.
Also, I don't care what his character's name is in any show.
But no, it doesn't matter. Joey Pants is always a better gangster name.
Right.
I think his name is Ralphie or whatever. Who cares though? He's Joey P. But they doesn't kill him over that. He kills him over killing a horse. And I know what the show is trying to say about the horse and Tony and his idea of innocence. But also, you can't deny that now the show has basically put Tony, how he regards life, and whoever you thought the hooker was, she is below horse.
Right. You're just going to recalibrate that score because now...
I mean, I'm going to think that just women in general are below horse.
Absolutely.
Because... and that's really the thing, is that he just treats women, even Carmela, like a kind of another possession. Like
it's Roman Empire, tall ships, horses, women.
Dude, he keeps mentioning the Roman Empire. Like, I think the show tells like, oh yeah, I got tested. I have like a 145 IQ, and I'm like, bullshit.
Bullshit.
No.
Bullshit. I'm sorry. The look on that man's face when he's lying, saying he read that screenplay is not 145 IQ, dude.
He can barely keep a lie together. The FBI don't matter. Like, that RICO case they're building the entire time never comes about. No matter how many snitches they end up, like, Adriana has a real actual arc of someone who's being fucked over by the FBI. And but all of a sudden she's just gone from the show once she admits it. And there's an undercurrent in the show that basically goes, yeah, but bitch deserved it. She was a snitch. Like, again, I don't know if the show is trying to say that.
Because I don't know what the show's trying to say. I don't know what the show's trying to say. All I could be left to think is that cosmically the show does not care about Adriana.
Right.
But I would have thought my favorite character in the entire show is Chris Moltisanti.
He's the only one that actually has
any arc or change, and they still throw him away.
And they still throw him away immediately.
And right before they throw him away, he kills the author. Like has this like about face abrupt fall.
A fall like that you think, oh wow,
that's caused by Tony fucking peer pressure
him to drink because Tony is.
But again, it's because he thinks Tony should have grown by now. Dude, you're in therapy too. You should understand what I'm going through here. And Tony points out, I've not grown at all.
Right, and
how dare you?
I still think you're weak because you can't have a.
How dare you suggest?
He talks out of ones like you're weak because you can't have a drink, but anytime you have a drink, you fall back into using heroin, and I hate you for using that.
Right,
and like no matter how much Chris says that like one goes in the other, it's abusive substances, and I can't.
They're the same. They're the same to me in my brain.
I can't do like. Christopher's also a monster, but I find myself rooting for him because he's more of a person.
Well, because Tony's a monster that bitches about wanting to not be, but you know he's lying.
But he doesn't care.
It's the only thing that really gives him any joy, it seems like, is being this monster. I believe Chris actually would like to stop.
And then you're right that that's a big episode as far as like his fall of like he's off the wagon again. He kills his buddy that's in the AA, and you're like, shit, Chris is about to fall in a way that's going to bring him into conflict with Tony in a big way this season, because this is the final season.
You really can't look like a loose cannon, man.
And in the beginning of the next episode, they just crash a car, and he mentions to Tony that I'll fail a drug test, and Tony strangles him right there. And again, because I don't know what the show is trying to say, it feels like the episode is trying to make me feel bad for Tony that he had to do that.
Right. Well, because Tony whines about it at the at the therapist's office. To do that. So you also pointed out something I'd never thought of, the central problem in the therapy part, that he can't talk about any of the crimes.
Yeah.
And some therapist out there, I'm sure, can correct me. I feel like the doctor-patient privilege falls apart if the crime hasn't happened yet. You can't let a...
Right.
You'll be an accessory.
If someone's in immediate danger, you can tell the police about it. You can... But if it's a past crime...
Otherwise, how would anyone in AA or NA ever? It's basically the same as a lawyer. It's basically the same as a lawyer, and because otherwise, how are you gonna? Dude, everybody in AA has left a car in a parking lot after a hit and run or something fucked up. Like, really, like maybe not that, but like you've done something. But like, and then you have to be able to talk about it.
Right, something that the statute of limitations is not up on.
Right,
you know?
Right.
Like, and you have to, in order to grow and move past it, you have to be able to talk about it, and not in this weird double speak that he tries to do. And yeah, I don't know. It'd be one thing if the show was trying to prove out that he is getting better psychologically, and Melfi thinks mental health is equivalent to morality. And we find out, and she discovers in the last season, oh my god, I've been helping him get better psychologically, but that just means that he's a better gangster now and more...
Because I haven't moved the core needle.
Right.
And we literally, when you were trying to puzzle out, like, what the hell is this show about? We just like, well, it would be cool if it were about that.
And then
and then they mention that as if they've done it.
As if they, yeah. And like you said, if you're watching week to week and you have to go off a memory, that might be able to cheat. Sopranos gets by, I think, on people's perception and their feelings of what they had previously watched.
It is a vibe show. Yeah.
It is very much a vibe show, and I got to say, I did not really enjoy my experience.
Which is why I stand by The Offer as the greatest gangster television show that's been made so far.
I will say that Tulsa King, man, I forgot how good that was.
That season 1 is really solid.
The acting from Stallone, which was surprising because we watched the first episode of season 2, and it feels way different.
Yeah. I'm only gonna let a couple more under the belt and see if that remains, but it feels like
I'm glad they're finally using what seems like the Dixie Mafia. Because I was like, oh, Tulsa may not have the mob, but like there's a criminal organization out, like in Justified, that it was they dealt with the Dixie Mafia all the time. And Frank Grillo as Dixie Mafia guy, I'm like, hell yeah.
Or not Frank Grillo.
Neil McDonough calls Frank Grillo at the end.
Oh shit! Yes.
And I was like, shit, they're gonna team up to take out like Stallone's mob gangster. That, to me, like the only problem the first season had was that the biker gang is just not.
Black McAdam is just dumb.
He's not a threat enough.
Fucking
to
half
Stallone.
pint Ben Kingsley is just dumb.
Pint Ben Kingsley.
Every time I see him on screen, I'm just like, God damn it.
And then I watched The Bike Riders.
Okay.
That movie with Tom Hardy.
Yes.
Michael Shannon, Boyd Holbrook. It had.
It's that same Sons of Anarchy, like a bike gang could be about. Well, it's the same problem with the mob movies. Like Stallone does 25 years on the romance of the idea of the mob, but the mob's not real, and that's what Trailer for Bike Riders kind of looked like to me.
The problem I have with Bike Riders is that it holds to the true story of the Vandals.
Okay.
And it holds to the true story of before the Vandals become a criminal gang.
Okay.
It's just they're more of a biker gang that breaks some laws.
Right. And in the 50s when everything is Pleasantville buttoned down,
right.
I get like how fucking dangerous an outlaw you would look. Not breaking any laws, just not conforming.
Right. Right.
And so maybe there's something there, but I've just never fully fallen for the romance of bike gangs quite.
Well, by the time it's about to get interesting, when they lose control of the gang to the people that are just going to run H and stuff around and drugs, that's where the movie cuts off. Like, no, this was about the Vandals' creation and how pure it was before it was about that, and how it was a place of refuge. I'm like, I think you were all a bunch of fucking weirdo hooligans, and I'm glad that you were all weirdo hooligans over there rather than.
But man, I kind of needed the weirdo hooligan part of that to be about 15 minutes at the start, and then the H-running guys come into conflict with it, and that be the engine of the movie.
Right. I feel it's like a waste of a lot of talent, like Tom Hardy and Boyd
Elvis.
Holbrook is in it. Yeah, the guy that played Elvis, I forget his name.
Yeah.
But also Killing Eve, what's her name, is the main girl in it.
Okay.
And she's doing the Chicago accent, like, well, I was thinking here that this guy was looking pretty good, and unfortunately he was. It's just the Chicago accents are pretty fun, except for Tom Hardy, who of course is trying to do something and can't quite. He's having a hard enough time hiding his British accent.
Right. Well, and we know Elvis Kid, man. When you can get him into an accent, but once you get him into that gear,
yeah,
he's gonna talk like that for 2 more years. He could not drop that Elvis. That was hilarious.
I also watched Donnie Brasco and Find Me Guilty, which
all right. I need to rewatch Find Me Guilty.
Find Me Guilty holds up.
I want to see that again.
It really you think of Vin Diesel as kind of a joke now, but he does a really good job in that movie, and Peter Dinklage kind of rules in it. I also watched The Innocence Project in regards to
I saw you watching some of those,
and that's on Netflix, and I highly recommend those too, just because if you're in the mood to get mad at
the justice system
and overall, or injustice in general, like the first 3 episodes are just about bogus dental forensics,
right? Yeah. And
there's a guy on there, I forget his name, Dr. Michaels or whatever.
Michael West.
Michael West.
You showed me that. Oh, his shit-eating grin is so fucking evil when he's like, we'll just let you out if I'm wrong.
If I'm wrong, and there's another thing that comes out 20 years later, well, we can just open the door and let you out. Like, that's not devastatingly.
When he goes on and on gushing about his professional mentor that he's so enamored by that invented this whole science
for Ted Bundy's case,
and then they call that dude in to refute his testimony on the defense, and he straight up calls him a whore.
Yes,
like
he's a witness,
like
harboring.
And man, the documentary knows exactly what it's doing, because there's a moment where he's like, and he's the greatest forensic dental scientist I've ever, he really mentored me in my thing, and then like they show the other guy like, everything that man said in court is absolute nonsense, and it cuts back. Well, he's a whore.
The documentary crew know they have a villain and are like, dude, as long as this guy lets us film him, we film him. Like,
no, when he goes on like a 15-minute soliloquy about Confederate statues being taken down, and then ties it back because they want to remove me from history too. I'm just like them statues.
I'm just like, but yeah, heavy on crime this week. I think maybe I was excited about Fight Night, and I was in a criminology mood, I guess.
Right. Well, now it feels like a good time to mention that if you haven't joined us over at patreon.com/tvdudes, you can throw down $1 an episode, get bonus content each week. You're only charged for the bonus episodes, so for $4 a month, you'll get double the pod. For $5 an episode, you can get your review of a show read on the podcast each week. For $20, you can... Showrunner level, you can pick out what we watch. I believe next week we're going to watch a few selected animated One Piece episodes that Danny Doggett picked out, and then the week after that, I think we've got.
I still think that's a risky.
I think that's a risky move.
Have us watch the live action One Piece.
It's been such a good run.
Live action One Piece is really good.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Just force Les to watch that. He'll like it against his will.
And then I believe the week after that we've got a new selection from John Paul.
Oh, all right.
But this week on our own Patreon, since we were planning to go to the movies and maybe catch Beetlejuice or something, but we're both sick.
That's true. Yeah.
So instead we watched Rebel Ridge over on Netflix, the new Jeremy Saulnier movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, having a very fun time of a modern day
holy shit,
First
man.
Blood.
Yeah,
that I'm really
come listen to us rave about this movie. It's a blast. But first, let's talk about Fight Night, the $1 Million Heist.
No, they burned Atlanta to the ground. Yeah, but Atlanta rose up. Because of black folk. Atlanta gonna turn them ashes into gold. This Ali fight, the perfect hustle.
You on the ground! It's a fucking robbery!
I put together a party for Frank Moulton, the black godfather.
All I ask is that you provide a legitimate living for this family.
This one here is the one that can put me on top, and I feel it for us. I'm thinking Black Vegas, gambling, liquor, women.
You still need to reach out to the council of all the top black bosses across the nation.
Who the fuck is this?
Chicken Man.
Chicken Man.
Chicken wing?
You don't speak chicken?
Get down!
Fight Night, the $1 Million Heist is an American crime drama television miniseries created by Shay Ogbonna, based on the 2020 podcast of the same name. The limited series premiered on September 5th on Peacock. There are 5 episodes out now. I believe it will finish up on October 10th.
Based off of where it starts on like what seems like the last scene and rewinds back.
Mm-hmm.
I think the last episode shows that, we're basically to that final scene. So I think there's only one left, right?
No, there's 3, I think.
Oh, there's 3? God damn.
No, there's going to be 8. Yeah, so there's 3 left.
Shit. Okay.
So I didn't know about the podcast really. I didn't know I kind of went in blind. Other than I saw Craig Brewer's name come up. He's the dude that did. I mean, he's the reason I know who Terrence Howard is at all. He did Hustle and Flow back in the day. It also explains what Taraji P. Hanson's doing in here.
Mm-hmm.
She's always great. Don Cheadle, Sam Jackson. But the main character in it is Chicken Man, played by Kevin Hart.
Right.
And he is a fast-talking, low-grade.
Where that nickname comes from?
Not really.
I don't think so.
I don't know if it's from his time in prison or growing up or what. And yeah, who knows how he got that stupid nickname. So he's Gordon to his Christian wife and kids.
His Christian name.
His Christian name. But Chicken Man to everybody else. And I really, it's almost a Winning Time level of 70s overlay onto this thing.
Sure.
They're having a blast. Like Craig Brewer's having a blast just making this like 70s pimp the movie. But I've really enjoyed the structure of it so far. We're 5 episodes in, and every time that you and I watch a heist movie, there's usually or a heist show, there's usually a moment where we're like, cool, so that's clearly more money than y'all expected.
Right.
Who the fuck did you rob?
Right.
And usually, infuriatingly, movies or shows seem to ignore that a lot.
Oh, is it the gold?
Oh, yeah, the gold. Just cold ignores it. So this movie or this show is very much about that specifically. Like, it's the Muhammad Ali fight. He can't fight in 49 of the 50 states because of the draft thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's why he lost all his titles, had changed his name to Muhammad Ali, isn't Cassius Clay. And more than
Mr. Clay.
More than most things, this show actually gets across the historical thing of like beyond the racism of not liking Muhammad Ali because he's black. There's also the very real vet problem of other black guys going, man, I went over to Nam.
Right.
Why the fuck didn't you go to Nam?
And that's Don Cheadle's position.
Yeah.
And I like that this one basically lands on the, dude, why do you think I got drafted to Nam?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's basically
they only drafted me to shut me up.
The show's about black excellence. And I think Don Cheadle like cries at the end of the fight too.
Yes.
Because he talks about how he
how they played a football game, I think.
Yeah,
he says.
his team played a football game and they whooped the white
for the first half, yeah.
And then suddenly they basically turned off the scoreboard and they start cheating and
yeah, they just start making up calls, and then it by the end of it they
took it away from them.
Yeah,
and because that
scene really works, which is why you hire Don Cheadle. That scene shockingly worked for me.
And so like I'm like, yeah, why do you think? And Muhammad Ali
doesn't like Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali is the greatest fucking boxer at that time, easy.
Yeah,
of all time, maybe. It does scream to me that like, yeah, it's shocking that he, as a big a celebrity he was at the time, he couldn't get out of the draft. And the only thing I'm like, oh, yeah, white people hate that the best boxer in the world is a black guy.
But shit, they even drafted Elvis. I mean, way earlier, but like,
sure.
But like, yeah, we've always used that as a like, cool, you're a problem. Why don't you go to the front lines, man?
Yeah. And Elvis just played black music.
Right. It's just proximity.
Like that was just, yeah, that was, and yeah, so it's basically the same thing. Like a lot of the show was talking about building up the talking out of one side of their mouths of like, well, black people, you know, they can't have anything. They just squander it and you know, they're irresponsible. Mm-hmm. But anytime they do have anything and are suddenly successful,
you got to make that lie true.
We burn them down. We burn it to the ground.
Look how they squandered it.
Yeah, and so like Don Cheadle like has that realization over like Muhammad Ali's basically just a big middle finger to no, fuck you.
Well, when and it ends up being proven out when Ali gets out of the car with him, he's driving him out of the state. He's leaving.
Yeah, he's leaving.
And they run into a blockade, and I mean, I thought, oh shit. I mean, I know Muhammad Ali doesn't die this night, but like, damn, what's about to happen here? And it's just the governor going, glad you had a good time in Georgia, and I assume we'll never see you again.
Right.
And Don Cheadle later is like, so I guess this is probably goodbye forever. Oh no, man, I'll be back.
I'm gonna be back.
Like, fuck him.
Trip. I really like the actor they get to play Muhammad Ali.
Dude, he gets it.
I also like that. Did the mayor think that Ali was gonna lose?
I think so.
Because he whips that dude's ass.
Oh man. I mean, they had to technically call it because the kid's just bleeding too damn much.
All over.
And Ali's not cut. Like
they try to call him like, what about you being the great white hope or whatever?
Right. Oh man, he beats that kid down.
I don't even. Do you see him get hit during the fight? Like,
I mean, Ali catches a couple, but not bad. And I don't know how exactly they played that fight out, but yeah, he whoops him in round 3, man.
Yeah, because some of it is based off of a true. It admits right off the bat that they've fictionalized some of it to meet a story better. But it sounds like there was a party after the fight. There's a fight party, and it sounds like that there was indeed a robbery at said party. I'm not sure how much more details are in that. And the problem at that party is that Kevin Hart, Chicken Man, is trying to get the attention of Samuel Jackson's character, Mulvin or
Frank Moden.
Frank Moden. And he's the basically king of the appointed black mafia or so.
Right. They call themselves the Firm.
The Firm.
And so he's from New York.
Yeah, he's New York.
But there's also like Mushmouth from Detroit.
And there's Chicago.
There's the Butcher.
Which is the Butcher.
There's a guy
from Texas.
That's just cowboy looking dude.
Yeah.
And then there's Mo Slim from Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah.
And then there's Coyote, Terrence Howard's character, who is I think from California.
Yeah.
Like he's the other coast.
Well, he's got the feathered fucking hair.
God damn it. He's not a huge part, but man, Terrence Howard chews all the scenery available. And then Sam Jackson's chewing that cheroot cigar the whole time. Oh.
So it's basically him trying to get in good so that he can be, I can only assume the version, what they are to their cities, he wants to be that for Atlanta.
Right.
Because Atlanta's about to be a big hub.
He believes Atlanta, at least like we know Atlanta's about to be a bigger thing. And be a city. And it's at the time when they're having a white flight issue, like white people are leaving Atlanta for the suburbs. Atlanta's becoming blacker. There's real money here, or starting to be. And we know where it's going to go, and Chicken Man sees it.
Mm-hmm.
That like, no, this is, even if he's just under New York's thumb. He just wants to be elevated a little bit.
He's already a low-level hustler, and he just knows people. Like
right.
That's his skill set, is that he can.
When he
things...
finally lines it out like that, I was like, okay. How's Don Cheadle put it? Man, you're not smart enough to mastermind this, but I know you're dumb enough to be involved.
That was a great line.
It's like shit, because I was like, man, Chicken Man, no offense, but you really can't run this, man. You're not this good, but you know everyone,
right? No,
granted that none of them fully respect you,
right?
at all, but you know them.
But all these people coming in from New York and Chicago, all the Atlanta people don't know them.
Yeah,
like it's hard.
And he does have the city down. He knows where to take them for places.
Like, hey, I know where to. You want an invite? You want to meet this famous actress or whatever? Like,
right.
I can get that done.
And he is a fast talking. He generally does kind of get shit done. I mean, he gets. So they decide to set up this party on Frank's honor. And the only rules are no guns, no knives. Just a safe place to let your hair down after the fight. But they're going to set it up like a casino. So it's not just the money on people's wrists and necklaces or in their wallets. There's a bank for the casino. So because you got to be able to pay out winning hands and shit. So you've got
to be able to cover
tens of thousands in cash there as the bank. Plus just the walking around money on all these people because you're coming to a place where you can bet. But it also makes it like a bigger, more illegal thing. When the cops do start getting involved, it's more than he's been on the hook. Even his lawyer's like, "Did you break any laws?" No, man. I
mean, there were hookers.
There were hookers, and we did set up a casino.
Fuck, God damn it! But man, that's the least of his issues.
Oh man,
if it was just the cops, that would be one thing. But the problem lies in that all of the firm are there when it gets robbed.
Yeah. So the structure of it, we see the party get set up at the first episode, and then we basically see the fight and see all that happen. Mm-hmm. And is it by the end of the first or the end of the second when we move to the robbers?
The robbers, yeah. There's like kind of a Rashomon thing. And
at first I was like, most shows would disappoint me here. It would lose steam for me. I've been really surprised every episode that I actually do care about whether Don Cheadle can get anywhere on this case before the white cops wreck it. Yeah. And I do care
or
whether
the black
these
gangsters just kill everyone involved.
Right. Like, can the cops operate fast enough for Frank not to clean it up himself? But then also, I've enjoyed watching the Mac and the robbers plan it, man. Watching a smartly planned robbery and the whole taken to the Pelham 1-2-3 problem of you need 7 guys to do this job. You can't find 7 criminals who are all sane.
Yeah.
And like Willie Black and like all the guys he brings in, even their getaway driver guy that's their lookout, who seems like one of the more in control dudes, is actually one of the sloppiest.
No, man, he gets fucked up by the chick he is fucking.
Yep.
And honestly, they clock him because he's dumb enough to try and give directions to like the.
He was actually didn't give directions. He was smart there, but he still got noticed.
Well, it's like, dude, I get that you're trying to avoid them from the party, but the smart move was just to let that happen and fate. Don't be noticed at all.
Right. Say, hey, I'll be in there in a minute. I'm heading in right now.
Like,
follow me,
so that no one can like clock you as the owner of this Chevelle that has custom fucking parts. And man,
also, god damn it, don't drive a custom tired Chevelle.
Yeah, that felt like a dig at black people's like the car like custom jobs and stuff that were going on. Like they were talking about how he looks like a Billy D. Williams and like he had a gold tooth like you. Like, so
you look like me?
Like, no. So no. I'm actually not.
Don Cheadle like, man, you don't have to write that. I'm just writing not chicken man.
Like, I'm talking
it's just opposite of you.
Honestly, when they hook up in that episode,
their chemistry's really good.
I was like, wait, why wasn't the whole show this? This is fun.
This is great.
I'm not as in love with this show as you, actually, because honestly, I was getting bored through segments. The Rashomon thing is cool. Like in the second episode, they never come back to that. That's a thing, that's a device they never use again.
No. Yeah, we don't see it. It's not constantly overlapping. At this point now, we're at the forward edge.
That's just for the first 2 episodes that done. There's a moment in that interrogation where they do a split screen.
Yeah.
Even though Kevin Hart and Don Cheadle are on the same couch.
Right.
They could just pull to a mid shot.
Yeah. No, Craig Brewer loves that split screen. They do that quite frequently, I feel like.
And it's
purely just
and sometimes it's like
70s it up.
Like why though?
It's pure style. Yeah.
Because they're on the same couch. Like you can have the same, and they're talking to each other. They're just have them talk in a mid shot that you have. I've seen it before, and there is it takes a long time to get to the actual heist part of it, because the forward momentum of the show really doesn't start until the heist happens and Kevin Hart has to clear his name of the heist.
Yes, because there's a huge line. Like the first 2 episodes are basically the same. Like they're the setup, Rashomon, but they're the setup, and then there's the moment, like the aftermath. Once that starts, that's the show, and it is a weird line to get pulled across, because there was a moment where I realized, oh, I sat down to watch a show about a heist. This show, the crime itself is the catalyst, not solving the crime or anything, but just the real story of the show is Atlanta, and how Atlanta goes from being before the airport basically and after the airport. Is what it sounds like, because Atlanta now is a huge Delta hub. We've all been to Atlanta on an airplane, whether you meant to or not.
Right. Well, the senator basically. I love the Frank has a sit down with the senator after the fuck up at the fight, and that senator, who's that actor?
It's like I didn't recognize him. It's one of the only things Frank does at this point in the show that is not about figuring out who the fuck robbed him.
Right, because he's got a land deal.
Because he's still got the real reason he's here.
The real reason he's here is not because of the fight or the party or anything like that. He's trying to get in on the ground level of what Atlanta's going to be.
Trying to buy all the land that the airport will need to expand. He sees it ahead of time, which is fucking smart.
Yeah.
But he thought he had the deal on lock, and then suddenly zoning and development or some random city department stepped in and quashed it.
Yeah.
And man, when the senator just lays it down of like, Frank, you and I both know you can never own that land.
Right.
And like,
he was nice about it up until the part of like, oh, yeah, you're a successful businessman. Why shouldn't it be you? Well, I'm going to tell you why it can't be you.
Yeah. Oh man, you can't believe that senator doesn't die in that room.
Right. Well, I mean,
you're in a crowded restaurant,
he
but
is
like
speaking from a position of power that I don't know.
With a smugness that I wouldn't say that to Frank. We've already seen Frank, and Frank's dude, who is one of the bodyguards in Limitless. I think of him as a lovable guy, but his big motherfucker that just kills people for him is bad.
Man, he basically like he just like sends him.
Oh wait, Silky's got something to say to you. Just holds the phone out while he chokes Silky out.
Yeah, I guess he does. He said he didn't have anything left to say.
Oh, man.
Well, because Kevin Hart told Silky to meet him at this place. Like, oh, I got this. Like, I can clear our names. And that's one too many disappointments from like they get there and he's not there because he got picked up with Don Cheadle, and because that's one too many fails for Silky.
Right,
and like,
right.
Hey, you.
And there really wasn't anything. Hart dove on that grenade right there and like got himself arrested with that kid so that he could try to keep tabs on the kid,
keep track on him because he was about to lose him.
Oh my god! And then I had actually forgotten when Don Cheadle comes back to the station after a long day fucking shootout that they have tracking down the wheelman, like because Frank's guys are outrunning the cops basically on tracking these people down. When Don Cheadle gets back to the station, is like, so y'all moved my suspect from the interrogation room to holding, right? And all the cops are like just standing around with their dicks in their hand going, I don't know, it's been kind of busy. Like, man, so is he still just sitting in the, and like best case scenario, that kid is sitting in a puddle of piss.
Right.
Because you've not let him out in 8-9 hours.
Right.
But no, he's dead.
He's dead. He killed himself.
He killed himself because he felt so guilty about the sister.
Right. Or cousin or whatever the fuck she was.
Yeah,
like,
cousin.
Yeah. Because she was threatening to tell his auntie, like tell her auntie on him.
Yeah.
And because like she
and
was
his guilt's already eaten him alive.
Well, she was the inside woman, and
he roped her. He was the one excited about getting in on this heist. Like she didn't really want to do it, but they even pointed out to her of like, look, if he's with us, he won't be just pickpocketing. He'll actually be with a crew. Right. And so she's like, fine, I'll be your inside woman. Fine.
Well, it sucks too because man, they interrogate her before they kill her, and she breaks down, so she can't tell them that the chicken man had nothing to do with
it. We don't hear her confirm or deny.
And at a certain point, Frank has like
but Vivian's blood's on her hairpin
Yes.
knife thing, so that's going to lead the cops to thinking Vivian was there when she, not like, you can already see how everybody's going to get a misunderstanding out of the facts that remain, and the faster that people go around, quote unquote, cleaning this up, the actually worse it's going to be to try to put together the truth.
Well, honestly, I thought Frank was being more than cool when Kevin Hart gets caught lying to him.
Oh, dude.
And he throws him down on his knees with the other guy, Javi, that basically was trying to shake Kevin Hart down for 50% of the party.
What?
And he's like, no, I'm running the party at a loss to get in with Frank. There's no money.
There's no money.
Like,
great. I'll take 50% of it, though.
yeah, so like, I'm not even sure how that would work.
And then the real sin that the guy committed was that even after he found out the party was for Frank, he still was trying to flex. And
man, I thought like, man, Kevin Hart, you're supposed to know everybody, but you didn't invite this guy. But then I figured out he's from Miami.
Right.
And he's like, oh, in my someone put a throwing party in my backyard and didn't invite me. Dude, Miami's 600 fucking miles away.
Right. It's not your backyard.
It's like, no.
Why are you here?
You just showed up and decided
decided you were owed this, and like, we were pretty far from New York. You feel pretty far from New York now?
Yeah. And he kills that in front of him and then gives him the pitch for Atlanta. And their ideas are slightly different, but not so much that Frank doesn't
respect.
Doesn't respect it of like, no, you see it as a Black Vegas.
You're thinking small, dude.
And that's small potato. I'm thinking Black Mecca.
Yeah.
Is what he says.
Yeah.
And
this
so
is going to be real wealth.
And he lets him like take him to the party and basically continue his going on from there. I was wondering like, shit, would that have worked?
I think it might have. If the party'd not gone wrong, this might have worked out.
Was that just an example of Frank showing him like, I like your initiative, kid, but don't you ever fucking lie to me like that again?
Yeah, I want to start our business relationship with you understanding who I am.
Right.
And don't fuck me here.
Like, don't dress up a janitor.
Yeah, never do this to me again. I will do exactly what I just did to that dude for less. Yeah.
And man, they get there's a shootout with the driver in the backwoods of Atlanta. I don't know where the fuck they are in the sticks.
Yeah, just out in the woods.
But man, that shootout is like, people just get shot in the fucking face. And the driver shows up like, we got to get out of here, and he's got like 3 bullets in his back.
Did you ever see the Atlanta episode where they have to go pick up something from the Migos?
I think maybe
it's like the first time they ever deal with it's the first time any of us ever knew who Migos were, like before their album got big or anything. and yeah, they just go out to the woods and it's just 3 dudes in a fucking trailer with guns
in the by around a campfire with guns, and they're just a bunch of fucking like out in the woods weirdos,
right?
And Paperboy,
but they look just as gangster as everybody else. And like
it's one of the only times where Paperboy is like legitimately shook by like these.
Like, no, man, we should crazy. Just take this and leave. We should just leave, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that episode. That was.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to the rest of this. It actually made me kind of want to check out the true crime podcast of it, or at least find a book on it or something. Because I'm excited to see how this comes together. Like, these people don't die here. This. By the end of this, however this dust settles, it does forge the business relationships between criminals and the politicians in Atlanta, and so that like within a few years, Atlanta's got a black mayor, and then basically it's black mayors from there on. The things Frank's talking about happen. Yeah, like he talks about a black Hollywood, right? And like, dude, like, I mean, it's not Hollywood, but there's a Georgia film industry's fucking real. TV, like made in Georgia. Like, how often do you see that? Right. And a lot of the stuff he talks about comes to happen. I'm not sure if he's involved with it, but yeah. And like, I mean, I keep thinking about the Atlanta that we see in Freaknik. Yes. Yeah. And that city doesn't exist in this show yet. Not yet. But it will. I also like Kevin Hart helping the cops, because you can see how that relationship would. Right, and he doesn't want to work with this dude. Don Cheadle is the cop that got him busted. Well, you'd also see how Don Cheadle, like, this is the first time he's been let to do anything. Right, right. And when he thinks that because there's a dude on the force that genuinely is fucking just killing people. Yeah, he sucks. And Don Cheadle wants him taken down. His wife's a social worker, and they want him taken down. And he thinks guarding Ali is a shit detail. Yeah, but it's gonna earn him a favor to talk with the captain. Wow, and that just gets the lie of that gets shown immediately.
Yeah.
And so now he's got this fucking mess of a murder robbery thing, and he knows the players. There are no heavier hitters that could be here. He knows that this is just going to be a bloodbath around Atlanta. If the cops don't solve this first,
right,
everyone involved and some extra people are going to get killed.
It's gonna look real bad.
Yeah.
But him being, I almost was kind of on the side of cops don't show up to the courthouse. Don't worry, we're gonna knock this down to like 3 months. And of course, Don Cheadle's the kind of asshole that shows up and basically calls him a hoodlum. And I'm like, look, and I know that he probably was guilty of whatever he was on the trial for, but you can see why everyone in those black neighborhoods hates him.
Right. And
like
man,
to them, you're a traitor.
And if he weren't with Cheadle, like, the white cops can't go door to door and get any information on this crime. Absolutely, I understand that. But Don Cheadle really can't either.
No, everyone knows about him.
Everybody hates him.
And yeah, I think that, man, Kevin Hart calls him like Uncle Tom a couple times.
Oh yeah,
like he fucking hates his guts.
He hates
and so
him.
You know how desperate he is when he has to like.
But
shit.
it is the smart play, because man, you need to get something together to clear your name. You can't look inactive.
No,
like when Frank eventually catches you, you need to look like you were working.
You need to
this
show
for
receipts on this is what I did to make this right.
Yeah,
and it's too late for Silky.
Well, so far, do you have a favorite single moment, single line?
A single moment, I would say that it has to be the Ali face down in the by the airport coming out.
Yeah.
And the moment after that of like, well, I'm assuming we won't see you again. And then Don Cheadle, like, his ass, I'm like, well, I suppose the last time you see me, last time I see you. No, man, fuck that.
Atlanta's awesome.
Atlanta rules. And I was like, that feels like the only way Ali could exit this show.
Right.
As far as, and man, him being, just Ali, like that big personality. And I think my favorite dramatic moment probably was the story Don Cheadle tells.
Same.
And
that's been the most powerful moment in the show for me so far. It caught me off guard.
And it's basically what the show, and that was the only time where I was like, because the rest of the time I thought the show kind of lacked focus every once in a while, but that was brought into stark reality and focus what the show is about.
Right. I almost feel
the show is about black excellence and black victory and black success.
Yeah.
And how that has been taken away from the black community
unfairly. How there's a thumb on the scale. And while they smile at you.
And it really sells me on how important the Atlanta becoming what it becomes later is going to be.
Right. Even though, can you argue that, like, these criminals doing this is not going to be the black mecca that you think it is?
Right.
But, so, like, it's not like Atlanta became this flawless city on the hill or something. But, but like, you get what it means to have something of your own. For real. And, if anything, as much as I love the Craig Brewer of it, the insane
there's some style choices
choices, and this isn't his show. This is Shea Agbana is the EP, but that first episode at least, like where they lay down the visual style, I almost think that gets in the way. As much as fun as it is, I think it gets in the way of powerful moments sometimes. And I wonder if there's a fear of, if we don't judge this up, will people tune out? Because it should be more serious. It's a fun show, but like it is some deeply touching shit that I think sometimes gets like, oh, do we almost have a moment? Let's go to split screen.
Yeah.
And I think that there's if there's any problem I have with the show, which I'm definitely enjoying more than you, but it's that sometimes that oh hey, let's go to.
Well, I think Kevin Hart is fine for this part too, and it's.
Well, you had mentioned something that I didn't think of, but now I'm not going to be able to let go of. Don Cheadle could have easily
been Chicken Man, and
Chicken
they
Man.
Picked someone else for. I would have picked Chiwetel Ejiofor for the cop, or maybe Michael Ealy, or someone like that.
Right.
But like a more because Don Cheadle I know has the quick talking thing, and I think he would have brought he could bring the serious moments more. Because Kevin Hart, he's doing fine. It's not his fault that like we now equate comedians going to dramas to like Robin Williams.
Right.
So,
but no, I like this better than a lot of Kevin Hart's recent. I don't want to be as funny.
It's way better
roles.
than Borderlands of like.
Right. Oh God, yeah.
I want to be. I'm slightly funny. I'm a fast talker, but I'm not hilarious. And I feel like Don Cheadle really would have brought something to that, and we could have used another person on the cop, because like the cop has like a one note type thing to do, and Don Cheadle really brings it in that moment it needs to.
Who's the guy that played Bass Reeves? Is that David?
David Othello.
Yes, something like that. I think he could have done it. Yeah, but also I'm definitely not as big a Kevin Hart fan as Kevin Hart or the rest of the world.
Yeah.
He's all right.
I think there's that moment where everything's about to go his way and he feels it.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks and he calls his wife.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a great moment. And I thought but I felt that as a writing element of this is a good moment to show him calling his wife, because this establishes a relationship that he's afraid of his success. And who does he call? He doesn't call Vivian.
Yeah.
Or he calls his wife.
Yeah.
Which
I like the two lives he's got, the Gordon and the Chicken Man, and the argument that he and his wife have, that he and Faye have in the yard.
I'm both.
Yeah, and her saying, well, at least you're honest, and then sliding over in the car was a powerful moment from that actress. I think the funniest tiny thing I've seen in the show so far is him looking for his underwear as he's getting ready to go to the party.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, the long johns are there. And so he wears those long johns, but then when they make him strip later during the robbery,
the basement's super cold. And it looks like
he's in on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, if I were, it's one of those like, I know my story's stupid. If I were lying, I'd have made up a better story. Like,
well, also Frank.
Why would I have gotten ready?
Frank has some doubts too, because he's asking if the Chicken Man robbed him or not.
Yeah.
Because like Vivian has to do that weird striptease at gunpoint, basically.
And he jumps forward. They had a couple of good moments that reveal things during the robbery. Their inside woman gets a shotgun lowered at her chest, and it's the first thing I think that gives her away to one of the other girls, because she grabs the barrel of that gun and goes, "The fuck are you doing?"
Yeah.
In a way that like,
whoa, that's
you would do if you know the person pointing the gun at you.
Right. I mean, the badass fucking firm people don't do that.
No. Yeah.
Because they're worried about getting I do like that everyone down there is a badass, but are like, hey, we don't have guns. And
no, when Coyote starts coming, we're gonna jump up and do this, and anybody that listens to him's gonna fucking die.
Yeah.
Also, Sam Jackson's moment of just like pulling out his hand and waving, and then putting his hand back behind his back.
Man, Sam Jackson is
y'all need to. I see why y'all all follow Frank.
Honestly, the Sam Jackson's the only one for that part.
Yes.
As far as the king of...
No, every time he walks on screen, whatever other problems the show might have are just gone.
He's so cool. And the way he holds court and presence in all the scenes he's in are...
also, he's got a scar on his forehead and that fucking Frankenstein's bride stripe in his hair.
No, it's all like... It's distinguishing and gives him like an identity that's immediately different than just Sam Jackson.
Right.
Even though he's very much, and
you can hear Jules in it.
Yeah. Say what one more goddamn time.
Seriously. Well, I think that's probably going to wrap it up for us this week. Tune in next week when Patreon supporter Danny Doggett has us watch some of the animated One Piece, and head on over to patreon.com/TV Dudes, where we're going to talk Rebel Ridge.
Hell yeah. Thanks, Double D.
And until next time.
TV Dudes out!
On the biggest night in Atlanta history, there was only one place you had to be. And this little shindig is just the beginning. When you bring together all the baddest mothers around, something's bound to go down.
Get on the ground! Everybody get on the fucking ground!
This whole city's about to be a crime scene.